These are like
Yeah,
knocked
these
out.
are really directional.
Yeah. So, welcome to episode number 5, the Downhill Dummies podcast. I'm with Chris Castro.
Hi.
This little introduction. Chris, you just happen to have won a yo-yo contest. So that's a champion.
Well, I didn't just win it. I won it last year.
Oh, what you just went?
Went?
Didn't you just go to something?
Oh,
Didn't
well, I went to
compete?
the World Yo-Yo Contest in August.
That was recent.
Yeah, I didn't compete there. I didn't qualify.
Oh.
Yeah. But the qualification for Worlds is actually quite strict because there's way more yo-yoers than there are downhill skateboarders, as you might imagine, since it's safer to yo-yo, I'd say.
Yeah, I would imagine the numbers are higher. And so how long have you been doing the yo-yoing?
I've been yo-yoing since 1993.
Have you been yo-yoing longer than you've been skating?
Yes. Yes, I have. A lot longer. Well, I mean, the amount of time that I have spent yo-yoing is a lot more in general. Like even just because it takes a ton of practice. It takes a ton of practice to get good, but it's something you can kind of zone out and just do for hours and hours and hours, especially if you have no friends to distract you.
I had a friend, he was one of my managers for one of the stores I worked at in the mall. Not going to go into what store, but he would do yo-yoing all day right there and do all fancy tricks and had different
What's his
yo-yo.
name? I probably know him.
His name's Jamie Kennedy.
You know what?
He's really tall, redhead. It's been years since I've seen Jamie. Shout out, Jamie.
It sounds familiar, and I bet you I've seen him before. I bet you I'd know if I saw him. If he's been to like yo-yo contests and stuff.
I mean,
like
he
that.
probably has. I haven't we lost touch a long time ago, but I'm sure he's still around.
Massachusetts actually has a really core yo-yo scene around like Northampton, Amherst, just because that's where Andre Belay and A to Z Toys and Yo-Yo Expert are all based, in the same spot. And actually, that was my first state win was the Massachusetts State Contest. That was like forever ago. That was like almost 12 years ago. And then I didn't yo-yo for like a really long time.
What got you into doing the yo-yo?
My uncle Gary. He was Bronx champion in like the 50s, and he was just like, won a lot of Dunkin' pop-up contests and a lot of Cheerio pop-up contests back during the original yo-yo boom in the 50s and 60s. And just did it a lot, and he would always do it at like parties, and like everyone would be like, break out the yo-yo and like do tricks and stuff. So he'd be like, and then like do some yo-yo tricks, and I was like, that's cool. And I don't know, I became obsessed with it.
I don't think I could have expected any kind of different story. My story of getting into skateboarding is very similar, except for it wasn't with an uncle or anything like that. It was just I'd seen skateboarders skating across the street doing skateboard tricks, and then I wanted to skateboard, and I was 10. But on a different note, you had wanted to come on to the podcast and discuss something that is going to be kind of a big news.
Big news for people in the Northeast, especially, yeah. So I just so happened to be, so I was getting ready to go to like a skate spot with Guillermo, and I think most people in the kind of like the Northeast scene know who that is. And he's from like White Plains, and I don't know, I was having like one of those like zoned out on the internet moments, and I was obsessively going through road maintenance schedules because I was trying to figure out what roads were going to be repaved. I know that at the federal level they passed this big infrastructure bill like a while ago, and it's slowly been working its way through the bureaucracy and actually down to, actual improvements on our roads. And I noticed that quite a number of roads near me. Not necessarily ones I would want to skate, unfortunately, but a bunch of roads near me got repaved. So I was like, oh, and I just started going through county by county, like which roads are going to be repaved. I was actually looking for a road in Cragsmore, New York, to find out when that was going to be repaved. But then I saw Port Jervis.
Port Jervis.
And I was like, just my like my heart started beating fast, and I was like, no, right? So
immediately you posted it.
Immediately, first I was like, I just started Googling Skyline Drive repave in different combinations of words and stuff, and I came across a Facebook post on Port Jervis's like the mayoral Facebook, and lo and behold, they said Skyline Drive will be closed September 5th through the 6th for repaving. And I was like, it's fucking happening right now. For those who don't know, Skyline Drive is where they used to hold ACME, which was one of the core, East Coast races during, I guess, what would be considered the golden age, or like the more popular age of downhill skateboarding, like the late 2000s, 2010s era. So think like Mike Gerard, Louis Poloni, Kyle Wester, those guys, that era. And it's a fairly simple road. It's just two turns. It's more than two turns. It's two obvious hairpins and some sweepers, but it's nice and steep, but it's not too steep. Pavement was nice and grippy, but not too grippy. It was just kind of a just right kind of deal. A lot of footage of it, and of course the road hadn't been repaired in a long time.
A very long time.
A very, very, very long time. So when I saw that, I was like, all kinds of thoughts started racing through my head. I'm like, okay, well, what does that mean? They're repaving it. Does it mean that they're just going to fix the block of potholes? Like, did they do this, that, and the other thing? And I kind of had an inkling that they were going to do this, because I had driven up there a couple of weeks prior, because I just drive up there every couple of weeks just to see how the road is and see if I could skate it. And I saw that they redid the drainage, and I got excited, but I kind of like tempered my own excitement, because I was like, okay, well, they can just put a pavement patch over that and be done with it. That doesn't mean anything. But closing the whole road down to repave it, especially since it is such a popular spot in Port Jervis for hiking and biking and other outdoor activities.
Yep.
I was like cautiously optimistic, and the next morning I just let Guillermo know, like, hey, I might be late. I'm going to drive out to Port Jervis. I think they might have fixed some of the problems with ACME. The road had fallen into disrepair, and that's really why people weren't racing it anymore. And I get there that morning, like around 9:00, and at first I couldn't tell what was going on, because you can't see Skyline Drive till you're almost right up on it. And then I see the entire thing is blocked off. And right as I drive through, right past it, I see this beautiful black fresh pavement over the whole thing. And I cut the wheel off to the side, parked my car on the side of the road, threw my skate gear on, and ran up that hill. I ran up the hill. I was taking pictures and sharing them to my group chat. Like the whole time, I was I had this like very, very like excited moment, and I ran up this hill as fast as I could, and they repaved the entire thing. And they didn't just repave the entire thing; they re-engineered the whole thing. And
What?
they okay. So I was told by people who are close to the town, John Fletcher.
Right.
I said people, but it's really just him. He has like a good relationship with the town of Port Jervis, and I told him immediately, and he kind of like knew about it but wasn't saying anything. He didn't want to like generate too much hype too fast. Not really a lot of danger in that, because I think ACME is not like a spot that people would necessarily drive out to. But
it's like one of those ones you have to know where it is.
Yeah. And
it's
and
not that hard to find, but
most other downhill skaters that I can think of, they'd have to commit to like a 3-hour drive to get there. For me, it's like a 30-minute drive. I'm just lucky like that. I also should mention that the reason that this is so near and dear to me is because that hill, when I was first starting my journey in downhill skateboarding, I discovered the footage, and I discovered like all the videos on YouTube, and I kind of knew from like my childhood that there were some like soapbox derbies and other kind of things that went on in Port Jervis, and that was kind of like a hot spot for that sort of thing. And I started looking around for footage of that hill because I wanted to skate it, and it turns out that there was like a race there. And once I figured out where it was, I went up there, and that's where I cut my teeth. That's where I actually I learned to slide properly ish.
Ish.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, we all
that
have
was
those,
like
those
also one of
spots.
the first faster hills that I ever skated.
It's not slow.
It's not the fastest, but if you know how to milk it really good, you can get plenty of speed out of the hill. It can be fast if your technique is good.
And you have a buddy. If you have a drafting partner, yeah.
Yeah. It is one of those hills where it's if you're skating it by yourself and you're staying in your lane, which you always should, by the way, if you're skating an open road, you should just stay in your lane. I think everybody knows that, but
I hope by now that after the losses that we've had, that stay in your own lane.
Yeah, definitely.
But back to ACME.
Yeah, it's one of those hills where if you have the entire road to yourself and you have a draft train, it can go from being mellow to being dangerous.
We got to take a short break.
Okay. I don't know if this is still on, but if Rob sees this later, I just want to say thank you for having me on this, because I'm just like a background goon from the Northeast, and I'm like not important at all to the scene or anything. But it's given me so much. Downhill skateboarding has given me so much. It has given me there have been times in my life where it's been my whole raison d'etre. I think that my quality of life would be a lot worse without it. The community is beautiful. It's so fun, and it's like one of the few times where I can really feel in the moment. It's really, really, it's just spectacular. Downhill skating is just spectacular. There's no other way to describe it. Yeah. And I'm, I guess my, my idea to get this event back going, going back at ACME is kind of, it's something I really, really feel motivated to do, because I want to be able to give back to, this beautiful community that's given me so much. comes together. I know there's going to be some obstacles, but it's like full steam ahead. You want to do what now? What? Oh, well, I ate a slice of pizza while driving on the way here. But you know what? Like, I don't really have anywhere to be until 11 o'clock tomorrow morning. ACME, ACME, I'm going there to skate. It's my favorite hill. It's my home hill, and it's beautiful and new. And Rob and Jonathan are gonna come there. Which reminds me, I gotta talk about Rob and Jonathan at least a little bit. And we're making B Reel right now. It's like a beautiful synergistic thing. Check 1, 2.
Some gas. You get a little gassy.
A little carbon dioxide. Yeah. Just, you know.
And we're back. We had a little temporary pause because Jeff Rodriguez is in the house doing a little electrical work for me. Yeah. So we had some questions need to be answered. So back to ACME. You were in the middle of a story. And
well, I don't want to put too fine a point on it or pontificate too much. So I'll just say that I was relieved. I was waiting for this for so long. I ran up the street and I had the whole road to myself. I knew it was closed. So I skated down it. I sent it down it. Like, I want to say I took like 5 or 6 runs.
Did you film said runs?
Some. The very first one, which is posted on my Instagram, that was the first time I ever skated it again.
We'll put that in the video.
That was the first time I skated on those wheels too.
What wheels were you riding?
Oh, the new Deltas, which I bought within like 12 minutes of them releasing them, because I'm a simp and I'm very bad with money.
And I'm assuming that road being just freshly paved, was it like slick?
Greasy,
yeah.
So I still don't know what it's going to handle like once that thin film of tar wears off.
Well, while we were in our break, you did drop a little nugget. You're going to skate there tomorrow.
Yes, I am.
Oh, I'm so jealous.
Yeah.
God, I wish I could come.
It's a very, it's very convenient for me. You know, like it's a great place to practice skating too. Like, it's a good first event. It's a good event for people who may or may not necessarily be comfortable with riding with other people because the road is so incredibly wide. It's like the opposite of some of the tracks that we've seen.
You do have a ton of room, especially now with all the lines that have been opened up, because there was very few lines, maybe 2. And then it would drop down to 1 line and widen back out to 2 lines, just because of the sheer amount of features that were in the road.
Mm-hmm.
And if, like, I went and skated it with some supervision from John Fletcher, I think last year or something like that. I can't remember. But it still had, the rusty, jagged guardrails on the side. And if, like, you went down in the wrong area, you were going into one of those. So when you were there, did they have those, like, up and out of the road, or were they still there? The guardrails.
The guardrails are not there at all. There's no guardrails.
So they pull them out.
They're going to put them back.
No, I know. It's like, I just want to know that they're gone.
Oh, those old guardrails are really gone. There's nothing left.
Awesome.
Of them. They just removed them. They were old and rusty and crappy, and yeah. And the pavement, the old pavement, was very weathered. I think I was looking around there, and I'm pretty sure the road has only been resurfaced once before, ever. I mean, if you go back on Google Maps and just look at the road surface,
yeah.
I
mean,
the Google Map aerial view, the satellite view, actually goes back quite a ways. It goes back to the 90s because they had,
I didn't know it could do that
and stuff like that.
That's so cool.
And if you look at it, it looks to me like that road hasn't been resurfaced in decades.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, it was time coming. I mean, it
If you
really
threw a
needed it.
slide, you unless you were using really grippy wheels, you were kind of just going to slide and slide and slide. So now I think once that tar film wears off, you'd have to you I just don't see anybody sliding off that road now. It's going to be way grippier and way faster.
Way
than it
faster,
was.
way grippy.
Mhm.
Did you get a chance to go down into the campground area or check out the campground hill?
Yeah. Oh, so that little one lane road that goes from kind of the top of the mountain out towards the flagpole area, like the overlook.
Mm-hmm.
That got repaved a few years ago, and we skated that last time. Last time we had the event, like
Yeah, it was really fun. I had more fun on that road than the other road.
It is a really fun. It's like almost all grip.
Yeah,
It's like one little. I'm goofy, so for me, it's a heel side check that you have to throw.
for me. It was toe. Yeah.
So like that's so much fun to just kind of like mess around on. It's a great place to practice too, and that's another reason why an event there would be so cool.
Right.
And I think that's a good place to start talking about an event at ACME, if it's all right with you.
Yeah, go for it. That's why we came on the podcast. We wanted to get it going.
Yeah. So my first step was to talk to the previous organizer, John Fletcher. And he kind of like assured me that the town was like kind of ready and waiting for us to do that again.
And I kind of feel like not to be selfish or anything, but they kind of just did that for us.
They didn't just kind of do it. Like Port Jervis is a really unique town in that they kind of have a local, action sports scene. There's a lot of kids there that do BMX, and they have a pump track, and there's a lot of.
The pump track is amazing.
It's sick.
That's
it's a
one of the
burner.
best pump tracks that I have ever been to. Like, it has the most lines that I've ever seen in a single pump track. Like, there's probably 25 lines in there.
They get a lot of young kids, teenagers, and young adults that race BMX competitively.
Right. Now, I will say it is a BMX pump park, and you can ride a skateboard in there.
If you got big soft wheels, yeah.
Yeah.
But I've done it on my rollerblades.
It is, like you said, it's a leg burner, and it's still really fun. Like, one lap, just one lap around is getting you tired.
Yeah.
We stopped there after Woodburger. We went to, we wanted to skate a few different spots, but I was bricked. And I think we had already drove past Witch's Hat. And I think at that time, by the time we drove past it, it was wet because it was raining there. That's why we kind of decided to drive past it. But we were just driving, and we seen a sign that said Port Jervis 6 miles. I was like, dude, it's like right there. Let's pull off. So we pulled off, and we drove up the hill, and we could see all the signs that it's going to get repaved. Like you said, they were doing like the water culverts and whatnot. They had the lines in the road, and they were dug up. And I thought the same thing. Maybe they're just going to like spot patch them, but then we got to the top, and then I was like, dude, there's all kinds of like lines that are like spray painted in the road. It's like, I bet you they're going to start right here and do the whole road.
Well, you were right. They did.
I was just like speculating. I was just like, yeah, maybe they're going to do it. But then I just assumed that, it was just going to be the latter of the two. That it was just going to be like spot checked. That's what they do around here. That's just what I'm used to.
Well, it's the Northeast. The winters are really harsh, and they mess up the roads pretty bad. So a lot of times there's just not money. But this project was special, and it goes back to the whole the action sports culture in Port Jervis is actually really strong. A lot of mountain bikers. And
well, they didn't do it just for us. I was just, I said,
no.
I was being like selfish when I was saying that. But there's a lot of other people,
like the cyclist community in that town. They were really pushing to get it repaved.
You piqued my interest when you said the go-karts or the downhill, the derby.
Check this out. Okay, so
Like I want to go to that.
I actually looked into that a little more, and it turns out that they used to have a soapbox before. I think even before downhill skateboarding. Like we're going back, to the '90s and before.
Mm-hmm.
They had this big soapbox derby where they would race down ACME in gravity cars, and there is there's a little museum in Port Jervis where they have those gravity cars on display. So Port Jervis actually is, I mean, I don't know how many towns there are outside of like California, but Port Jervis has a history of gravity sports.
I wonder if we could get Red Bull involved. You know how they do those soapbox derbies and they make them go off jumps?
Yeah.
And you have to like do sharp turns. What if we can get Red Bull to come to ACME and hold one of those races on that hill? Dude, that would be so fun. And then in the same weekend, you can do a downhill race.
Well, that is something that we're going to have to discuss with everybody else. I
mean, bring your soapbox derbies and your skateboards.
I know that Red Bull was really involved in street luge in like the in the 90s. Like I don't know if you like remember watching the X Games. You remember like street lugers going down crazy hills out west and like catching air, and it was just like it was right out. It was right out. If you, there's a, I think somebody, name escapes me, who was on the Venom podcast, talked a lot about that. Went into great detail about that. So the and like it's been talked about on other platforms. The town of Port Jervis really wants us there. Yeah. And I mean, how many times have we gone to try and organize events in a town to get like a truckload of backlash thrown at us? It is just like, I imagine that it's very tiresome. It's very tiresome to be in touch with a community who actually wants us. That's
it's rare.
Very rare.
I mean, they gave us a police escort the last time we were there.
Yeah, I was in the U-Haul.
Yeah, I was driving it.
Yeah, I was watching that on YouTube the other day to like be all nostalgic,
Yeah.
And so I spoke to John, the previous organizer, just to kind of like get an idea of what we can expect from the town, and the forecast is really great. I've contacted you, obviously, right. So you're going to be involved, and I am trying to get some talent from the Toronto area. I don't want to name names yet until we have that first initial Zoom meeting, but I want us to have like a big team.
Right.
I find that when people go to put on events, they usually kind of do it alone or with it. I mean, I could be wrong about that. So if I am, you can go ahead and correct me. But like, I see people taking like a really strong centralized leadership approach to it. And I see that can kind of stress people out. Right. And it kind of makes it so that, when you actually organize the event yourself and put it on, it turns out not to be that fun. So I'm hoping with this event that we're able to bring in a lot of helpful people and kind of divide and conquer it so that it's, because like, it's like the return of a classic venue for us.
Right.
And I want it to be special, and I want it to feel like, like a new kind, like You know what I'm trying to say? Like, I want it to be cool. I want it to be as cool as possible. I want people to want to come back.
Right.
I want the people of
The
Port Jervis
community.
to like,
Right.
you know, be
And the
behind
skaters.
it.
We need the skaters.
Mhm.
You know, we need it to be affordable for the skaters to come and skate. It's not a very long hill. Hopefully, with the new guardrails, we won't need as hopefully the same amount of hay bales as last time. So, and I remember the last time that we went, there was he had a whole team that came in and did it prior. Like, I was expecting to have to throw hay, and I didn't have to touch a single hay bale before the event or after the event. So he did a good job about getting the hay taken care of and the safety. Yeah, it was just, I agree with needing to be a larger team as a whole, and everyone knowing their position and spot and knowing what they need to do ahead of time. You know, that way when you get to the hill, you're not, who's this? You know, who's that? Where is this person? You know, because I can see that happening a lot. You know, a lot of times when we're relying on corner marshals, it's just more skaters, you know, or their buddies that might not have that much marshalling duties experience. But it can be, if it's your first time, it can be very confusing and kind of stressful at a large event. But no, I agree with you. We need to have a solid team ahead of time. And I think we have plenty of time to build that up. And, you know, I think you already starting with a Zoom meeting. That's, we didn't have a Zoom meeting last time, you know. So Zoom meetings are important. Staying in touch is important.
I have a little bit of background in project management, so that's gonna.
I do not
come into play. That
I
was
have
not
team
meant to
management
be.
skills.
That was not meant to be a horn tooting moment either, though, because I haven't really had to use my project management skills in a really long time, and definitely not in this setting. But
Turn the light on. You guys can talk about.
oh no. So I'm sorry I keep covering my mouth and stuff. It's just I keep burping.
Well, I mean, beer.
Bear.
We got that beer gas.
Bear gas.
Beer gas.
Speaking
Speaking of which, I think this is almost done. I gotta re-up.
Do you want to take a time out to re-up? Actually, can we take a time out so I can ask a question?
Okay. Pause.
I'm gonna put a sound spike here. Is that okay?
Here's your sound spike.
Okay.
No.
Oh.
Talk about as many podcasts as you want.
Oh. All right. Because I went like, okay, all right. So then you could even put this in. I don't care. So like when I spoke about the other podcast before, you did this, and I thought you were giving me some kind of like, no, we can't talk about other podcasts.
Oh, my
but I
fucking
guess,
ear itched.
Oh, all right. Yeah, I read too much into your body language is what happened.
No, my bad, dude.
Yeah, no.
No, it's like, I have itchy ears, so when my ear itches, I gotta get it.
Yeah. I don't think
And
this-
wearing headphones do not help.
Word. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
You're fine.
Anyway.
No,
all right.
like, I do not hold anything, because, like, I have to give props to all of the other skate podcasts in order to be able to create my own podcast. Like, the first skate podcast that I ever watched was Motion Board Shop podcast.
Yeah. Yeah.
And, like, just their whole attitude and just the way they run their podcast, drinking beers on podcast, I just liked it. I just vibe with it, a lot.
Like reminiscent of the 9.
Yeah, and then like the Get That Skate podcast, that was the other skate podcast I'd watch at the same time, and then obviously it's 35 All Grip podcast. So, no, we can talk about as many podcasts as you want to.
I
pulled the power up.
You pulled the. Yeah,
It's back.
sound studio things. I have really thoroughly enjoyed the Venom podcast because they talk to a lot of old heads, and I love love learning about the lore and the history
Yeah.
of things. That's so.
Again,
Yeah,
like
I love it.
when Nate had Lee Danzy on to his pod. Yeah, dude, come on. There was like so much. You go back into different things because like when Lee Danzy was doing the downhill stuff, I was like doing street skateboarding. I would
Yeah.
take my street skateboard down hills,
Oh, dude,
but I was not like downhill skateboarding.
can I do a quick rundown of like how I started downhill skateboarding?
Mm.
Yeah.
Go for it, brother.
Really quick. So I started skating in 98. No. Yeah. 97 or 98. My grandma bought me a skateboard and was like, "Don't tell your mother that I've bought you this." You know, my grandma used to let me like play with guns and
That's a cool
and,
grandma.
like
Guns and skateboards, shit.
yeah, she was really big Second Amendment lady. Mostly because she lived through the Second World War. So like, you know, anyway, she got me this skateboard. She's like, "Don't tell your mother," and so I didn't. And then she gave it to me for my 9th birthday, and my mom was pissed, as parents usually are. So, but I had a nice smooth driveway, and I learned to ride it. I learned to kick around on it. You know, and I just always had a skateboard. And I got my first real skate shop skateboard in the year 2000, and I just every time I had the opportunity to get out to the skate park, I went. I never got super good or anything, you know. I could ollie off high stuff, I could kick flip and heel flip and whatever. I loved carving it up in like bowls and in the vert.
So still very fun.
And then I stopped for a long time, and just worked at the grocery store forever. It was like those were the most miserable years of my life by far.
Getting trapped.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then my significant other at the time like decided to go back to college to like get a new career, and she was like, "I'll do that too." And then she went to college out of state, so then that like kind of screwed up our relationship. And you know, I got like a Globe Cruiser for Christmas. Like my brother bought it for me, I think. And I was like, "This is cool. It's a longboard, I guess." And I was like cruising around on it. This is kind of fun. It kind of makes me want to skate again, but it never went anywhere till I got to, you know, till I started going to college for the second time, and I met a chick that was like coming after me and wanted to impress me, and she was like, "Oh, do you skate?" She had a penny board, and I was like, "Yeah, I skate." So I then I started doing it all the time, and I met this guy Andrew. Shout out to you, Andrew Davis. You're an awesome dude. He was like, "Yo, Chris, I got to show you something, man." And I was like, "What?" And then he showed me. He was the first person that showed me videos of downhill skateboarding. He found, because he, you know, we had slide gloves and longboards. We weren't really sure what they were for. We just like, you know, like, and then he showed me that like that ABEC 11 video of Sergio Yupi. That was my first experience of downhill skateboarding, is watching him do all this stuff, and a whole new world of skating opened up to me. I was like, "What is that shit?"
My first downhill skateboarding video was an original skateboarding video. I don't even remember which one, but it was an original, like the company original skateboards. I've got one right there. An OG Arbiter DK. I think that's one of the 9 plies.
Yeah.
It's pretty beat up. But anyway, so I got into it. Like, I'd always loved bombing hills, but I just do it on a regular skateboard. And we would do parking garages. We have a parking garage here in town that had a lot of features in it, like speed bumps and potholes and cracks. And we would bomb down it, and you wouldn't go very fast. You'd go like,
52 millimeter 100A wheels. No.
Dude, you'd be vibrating the whole way down. You know,
Yeah.
your feet were numb by the time you get to the bottom. And then I don't know. I was just looking on Facebook Marketplace at work one day, and I seen this longboard. It was a Sector 9 pintail that had some Randall trucks on it, and they wanted $40 for it. I was like, bro, you bring it to me here at the mall, I'll give you 50. Like delivery fee. And he brought it right up, and that's how I got into it. And it was, I took 2 steps on it and 2 pushes and got all the way down the parking garage. I was like, okay, I'm hooked. I was like, because on a regular skateboard going down the parking garage, you had to kick all the way down. You know, you had to make your way down. But with that thing, it was just start from the top and just went all the way down. I was like, that's it. That's where it started for me. And then I started taking the thing downhill. And I was stupid about it before. I would not wear a helmet. I'd make videos, post them without helmets, no gloves, no pads, nothing. And I wasn't going very fast, but I was still skating streets and open roads, and my brother James would do it with me. And that's how it started. It was guys' night, skate night started off as guys' night, where we would just ride around bikes, like BMX bikes around town all night. Basically, I would get done with night school, and I'd come into town right around 11:30 midnight on a Saturday or something. No, it was Thursday. It was Thursday nights. And then we changed it to Saturday nights after that, once I graduated from school. But, and then my brother Jordan would be getting off of work at the same time, and we'd be basically passing each other. So we just started meeting up at the parking garage at night, and then we would ride bikes around town for a few hours, and then just, I don't know, get into shit. I'm not gonna say what we got into. I'm not gonna incriminate myself with any of that shit, but we would do dumb shit. Let's just say that, as you would,
So
and then
the dummies part of Downhill Dummies came first. At first, it was just dummies.
Yeah, we were just fucking dummies at first. Dude, you are not wrong.
Yeah, getting into shenanigans, skating growing up is like...
Yeah. And then quickly, the bikes turned back into skateboarding. Because, I'd stopped skating for probably 4 or 5 years when I moved up here. When I moved into Pittsfield, I brought my skateboard, but then my wife's car got broken into and it got stolen. Yeah, like her backpack got stolen, a bunch of stuff got stolen out of the car, and I lost my skateboard that I brought with me from Wisconsin. Well, I brought that skateboard with me to Tennessee, had it when I was down there, and then I moved from Tennessee up to here with it. But yeah, lost that skateboard, and then just never really replaced it for a while. And then, I don't know, the itch got back into me once, they built the first part of the skate park, because they did it in 2 parts here. Yeah.
That is a sick skate park.
Yeah.
I cannot wait to hit that. I'm going to hit that at some point. It looks awesome.
Yeah. I mean, if you somehow manage to get out here during the day, we can go ride it. The second part is even better than the first part, because it was unfinished for a long time. But then, obviously I got my skateboard stuff back, and then, I got that longboard and then started going downhill. And, through longboard fam, you get told how to do the right thing the wrong way, or the wrong thing the right way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I always knew about longboards and longboarding. I even had friends.
I had no idea they existed.
The first time I saw a longboard was at Central Park in 1999 or 2000, something like that. Really. And I saw a guy cruising around on it, and I was like, that looks fun. And then one of the kids I was skating with, who was teaching me how to heel flip at the time, was like, oh, that's a longboard. He's just an old head. And I was like, well, I mean, he looks like he's having fun. He's like, yeah, I guess. And then we went, it was just the amount of contempt that street skaters, a lot of them, used to have for longboarders.
I'm 40, and I come from that generation, I would call it the second gen skaters, because...
Oh, well, let's see. Got to be a lot more than second. I mean,
Maybe third gen, yeah, because second gen skateboards
in like the 40s or 50s, maybe earlier, and they were invented kind of like simultaneously in different parts of the world,
Yeah.
just from like roller skates and planks or scooters that got broken and whatever. So like, I actually did a whole research paper in college on skateboarding for my geography class. Like I had a world geography class, and I did this really long, detailed report about skateboarding and how it related to geography. Of course, because of surfing.
right.
And then, so part of it was on surfing, part of it was on roller skating. And then basically like why skateboarding became popular in certain urban areas because of this kind of like amalgamation of different pastimes. Yeah, it was really interesting, and she actually has a copy of that report and still
Shows it off to,
shows it off to her students. So,
but I would have to say I was maybe third, maybe fourth gen skater. Like, because when I was growing up and I was young, Chad Muska, Josh Callis, and Eric Costin, those were like the main skaters. And and like obviously Tony Hawk was like the vert skater, but the street skater were like in Shorty's Fulfill the Dream or in like a Trans World video. But yeah, those were like, I probably would have to say second gen. I'd probably say third gen for us in my era, my age.
yeah.
But like I said, we would take our skateboards down the hill, and then you'd have to fight that speed wobble the whole time.
I learned really, I learned really early. A lot of my friends, and you still see street skaters do it whenever they do hill bomb contests. They stand on the tail in like the ollie position, and that's just like a force of habit for them. I learned really early to stand on the bolts and lean on the front truck, but I didn't tuck or anything. I used to I used to do this and air brake the whole way, and
Jesus take the wheel.
I used to just gently carve back and forth to fight those speed wobbles. I was actually probably the best at that in my town.
Yeah,
was just like I definitely could bomb hills faster than anybody because I, rather than try to fight constantly, like worry about or fight the speed wobbles, I would just very gently carve back and forth and keep that from happening.
I didn't learn that until snowboarding. So I was one of those ones that would definitely be in that constant ollie position, just ready to lift the nose up and then just kind of scrape the tail to try to counteract it. That's what I would do. Like if I was bombing the hill and I was starting to feel it coming, I would just kind of like scoop the tail a little bit and then just land back on it. Sometimes it works. Sometimes I'd eat shit. Because like sometimes you wouldn't land straight and you land into a middle of a turn. Yeah. I learned many ways how not to do that, but I eventually learned how to do it at speed.
Yeah. Snowboarding is also something I did for a really long time, and that definitely influenced me to try downhill skateboarding because, like I just live in an area without good ski resorts, and if it doesn't snow like a lot, which it hasn't in the last couple of decades, they don't open. So, I was lacking that in my life, and I also learned to skate downhill on a double kick, primarily because my first exposure was watching Sergio's video.
Yeah.
And also didn't wear a helmet at first. I knew that I needed gloves, and I knew I needed to learn how to slide, though. So
I didn't know any of that.
I started trying to learn how to slide really early and alone and with no help at all. So that was like, oh man, that was rough. And I started wearing a helmet because one day I slipped off my board, and it was a double kick with just big hard wheels, like what ABEC 11 no schools, 98A or 97A or something like that, like big wheels but hard wheels. And I smacked myself in the face with the other kick tail because like one foot slipped off, the other foot was like pressed into the kicktail, so it hit me in the face.
Oh man.
So after that, I always wore a helmet, and I always will, because I don't want to get hit in the face or in the head or anything like that.
Yeah.
And that actually is a good, I think, segue to talk about ACME again, like, because my first event was SENMAS. Like, man, how many times has that been said on a podcast?
Right.
My first event was SENMAS.
Especially here on the East Coast, because that was my first event.
It was such a great event. Such a great event.
I know. I miss it.
Oh my god. And so that was a moment for me, because I kind of thought I knew what I was doing, and then realized that I really didn't know what I was doing. I thought I knew what Bast was, and then it wasn't. And I realized I didn't.
Right. We've all had those moments.
So I met two people at SENMAS 9, Robin Hanow and Jonathan Beltran. They're like other downhill skaters from the New York City area. Yeah. And those guys, like...
Beltreezy.
Yeah.
Sorry. I can't not say it.
Those guys came up to me from the city to skate ACME with me. And we all kind of had different parts of the fundamentals. And then when we started skating together, and it, like, it's so hard, by the way, to find like good buddies to skate with, and they're like,
not wrong.
They're my best friends now,
Yeah.
like by far. And they would drive like 3 hours up from Queens or whatever borough of the city. I don't know. The city to me is just, it's all one big thing. So
Yeah.
sorry, New York City guys. I still don't have my bearings quite right in the city, but they would drive all the way up from the city, like every other weekend for like a couple of years.
They do the drives. I do the drives.
Yeah. And they're like so dedicated, and we all like amped each other up and got good together. We all had like different pieces of the puzzle, and we put them together, and we all became like competent downhill skaters because of each other. Is really great. Really, really great. And I like met everybody else in the Northeast scene, and the East Coast scene because of them. And just practice sessions at ACME. That's how we like kind of got it. And I think that's like everybody that has a good experience in downhill skateboarding has a story like that too.
Yeah. I mean, like I said, we started off skating in the parking garage, and then we would be there for so many hours skating that other people would just wander in, and then we would meet other skaters. Like, that's how I met Chad. Like, I was just there skating with James and Jordan and Ben, and then they wandered in, and they were like, "What is this?" I was like, "What? This skate night, yo," And then eventually turned from 4 of us to I remember one night we had almost 40 of us just out there bombing that parking garage, and the cops came, and but they didn't have an issue. They let us keep skating, because they're like, "Oh, you're just skating in the garage? You're not doing anything else?" "No, we're just skating." "Oh, skate on, guys."
Dude, I tell you what. We got the winter, screws up our roads. We got different civil engineering in the Northeast because of that. The chip seal.
Right.
All these things that make it kind of not great to skate in the Northeast. But for the most part, cops in the Northeast are really chill.
Sometimes. I've met some not so chill police officers, and you know what?
I'm sorry that happened to you.
Yeah. But sometimes the most aggressive people weren't even police officers. They were like security guards or the DCR.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's
park rangers.
Yeah.
They're even worse than cops.
Yeah, it's interesting. Like I have not had a bad experience with a cop.
I haven't had a bad
Downhill
experience with
skating.
cops.
Like
They're just experiences, I would say.
I would so like I don't I like no cop where I live, state troopers, town, doesn't matter, has ever kicked me out of a spot for
Mhm.
skating. It's the people that call them on me in the first place.
Right.
Those are the people, and it's the same spiel. They drive up, and they're like, "Heard you were skating," and I'm like, "Yup." He's like, "You're wearing your helmet?" Knock knock. All right, have a good day, and they drive away.
Yeah.
And the only time that didn't go like that was because I was skating down a hill in Grahamsville, called Moore Hill Road. It's a drop. I think it's like a 900-foot elevation drop.
Wow.
No cap. It's fast. It's got some hairpins at the top that lead
Nice.
into some sweepers and a little flat section, and then this like steep hill into a 90-degree, and then another steep hill, and you can hit 60 really
Oh,
easily.
wow. Sick.
So I got my buddy Jake to follow me in the car one day, and I was on my Ronins, Quay Killers, and a Rain Misfortune, and I just I was it was just survival mode down the whole hill. I was kind of like able to skate it. It's really fast, so I was like trying to tuck and then air braking and trying to tuck and then air braking,
Mhm.
and then we came to these sweepers, and I came around this flatter corner, and I got in full tuck, and it's a good thing I did. A dude runs from his house with an axe, like a wood chopping axe,
What?
to try and intercept me while I was passing his house.
What did his man think he was going to do with an axe?
Kill me, I suppose.
Get you to stop?
Threaten
Like, oh,
me,
there's an
and-
axe man. I'm going to stop at 60 miles an hour. No fucking way.
Oh, I was no. I
Oh,
I
man.
went shh right by him, and my buddy who was behind me, I did one of those look under the armpit things, and he drove his car off the road into the dirt to get this. I assume to get this guy to fuck off.
Hmm.
You know, like just because he's got a temper.
I
So
think
he
he would have
like
set
went
me off
after the-
too. If
and
I
I
was
was like-
driving, I probably would have got sent off about that. Yeah.
Yeah, he got tilted.
Yeah.
And then like on later down the road, he like caught up to me and pulled alongside me because I was going slower in the flat section. He was like, "We got to call the cops on that guy. He tried to kill you." And I'm like, "What?" Because I was like, my mind was elsewhere, and I saw it out of the corner of my eye, but I was like, I don't know. I didn't really register at first. And then after
Right.
that, we went through this really fast section. It was really great. And then we called the cops on this guy, and there was this big argument. The cop drove up to his house and then down to my friend Jake's house and up to his house and down a couple of times to kind of exchanges.
Yeah.
And that was the only time a cop ever told me not to skate a road. He was like, "Listen, I know what you're doing isn't illegal at all, but this guy he's like kind of an asshole. So just stay away from him." And I was like, "Yeah, all right." So I haven't skated the road since. It makes me really sad because it's a fun road.
Well, maybe he's not there anymore. Or maybe he has maybe he has amnesia.
I hope so.
So- I was going to say, the only negative interaction, well, not only, but one of the negative interactions that I had with a cop was here in town. I was following Chad down one of the roads out. It was like a country road, and it was a Lanesboro cop. And we were going down, and obviously I was to follow a car, and I had the camera on in the front. So I was trying to get a good shot. So I was like on Chad's ass. And obviously we go around the corner, and this cop comes up on the other side. I'm like, we're fucked. Of course, like immediately flips on his lights, and he finds a good spot to turn around. It takes him a good 5 minutes to catch up to us. he like flips on his lights, and I'm like, I'll meet you at the bottom. You know, I'm still trying to film even with a cop behind me, and he's like not having it, and he like puts on his horn. You know, I'm like, oh shit, this guy's serious. Like, so I let Chad go. I pull over, still recording and everything. Like, my phone is on in my passenger seat, and this dude was pissed. He's like, do you realize how close to that skateboarder you were? I'm like, yeah, I know. He's like, what are you trying to do, kill him? I'm like, no. I'm like, it's my friend.
Oh, he thought you were tailgating him?
Yeah,
that was his concern?
He thought I was like an aggressive like driver being mad at
Whoa.
somebody in the road.
Well,
No.
I mean, that's kind of cool that he was sticking up for the skater. He didn't know.
Yeah, but at the same time, he was like,
That
is that your buddy there? I'm like, yeah. He's like, you guys can't be doing this. This is highly illegal. I'm like,
It depends.
It depends. Like, I get you don't want me on his ass like that. He's like, if he falls, you know, you're going to hit him. I'm like, dude, if he falls, he's going to slide a little bit.
That's the risk you take.
Yeah.
I watched Guillermo get really, really close to Leo's head once in upstate New York.
No,
doing a follow run.
I'm just saying the cops like think that when a skater goes down, they like immediately stop. You know, that we're immediately going to hit them. You know, if the driver's any kind of a good driver, which most people who drive and do follow cam runs are really good on the brake. Look at that Coltrada video.
Every Coltrada video. But yeah, that one.
That one
yeah.
Coltrada video where he was right there. I mean, that's the driver knew what to do. And my point being is that if the law of momentum plays in, like if you are going a certain speed and you go down, you don't just go down immediately stop. You're going to slide a little bit. Roll, tumble. You know, you get a good distance before you need to actually like.
Yeah, that was like my white face clip. You know which one I'm talking about, right?
No.
The white, oh man. It went around, it went like semi-viral for a little while.
Really? That? I
Pink
didn't
and
know
green
that.
leathers, green helmet.
You might have to send me that and I'll put it in.
Yeah, I'll send it to you. I was bombing down Whiteface. It's going about 60, and I had never been that fast before, ever. I was wearing fresh leathers that I had, like, literally never worn them before that day. I went to air brake, and the air pushes you back at that speed. You have a lot more air resistance at 60. So,
you were wearing your leathers on snowboard?
No.
White face on a skateboard.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, on the back side,
Okay.
the other side of Whiteface. We tried to get up through the toll booth, and they told us to go fuck ourselves.
Wow.
The guy was really aggressive about it. So we were like, well, they can't stop us from skating below the toll booth. And I had just done it the other day in swim shorts.
Mm-hmm.
And no pads and nothing, just my helmet and gloves. Guillermo clocked us doing 60 then with no aero gear. So I was cooking. I was catching up on my buddies. And if you watch experienced downhill skaters that regularly go that speed, you'll see that they put their hands down and out first, and they sort of air brake in stages.
Mm-hmm.
I just stood up. And I got pushed onto my back truck. The board surfed out from under me, and I went ass over tea kettle. And it was that was a watershed moment. I didn't walk for 3 months after that because I went right down on my right knee, and it was like screwed up. The only thing that saved me from getting full, like the only thing that saved me was like the leathers.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, Guillermo slammed on the brakes, and he didn't even come close to hitting me because I slid like. Well, if you'll get the clip of the video, I slid quite a ways.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I think that a part of the reason that people react the way they do to downhill skateboarding is because they don't understand what they're looking at.
Right.
I know I didn't at first.
Right.
You know, like, and it's a sport that's kind of like there, but it's in the background. And unless you're really paying attention, you wouldn't know what you were looking at.
Right. I just wish more of the DCR people and like the park rangers were a little bit more educated, you know, instead of one-sided about it. You know, like they really don't have much to do all day. You know, and then they see downhill skateboarder skating on their property. I'm like, you can't be here. Like, finally, something to do, something to, you know, I got to yell at this guy.
Anything for a little edge. You know what I'm
Yeah,
saying?
yeah, a little excitement.
Otherwise, it'd just be tweeting birds all day.
Yeah.
Yeah. Which is actually a good time, I think, to bring up events. And I think, you know, organizing, finding communities that are stoked about downhill skateboarding, right? Having events with those communities year over year and creating this synergistic environment where, you know, people bring money into the town and, you know, downhill skaters get to have an open road, or rather I should say a closed road experience where they can really push themselves.
Right.
And then people who don't skate, right, can actually see downhill skateboarding maybe for the first time. They can, and they can be like, wow, people do this? This is a thing, right?
There is a small percentage of that happening, you know, because the road's not entirely closed. It's only closed while the skaters are on the road. So while the U-Haul's going up, there's going to be spectators going up, people that want to go to the park, go to the campground, you know, that need to drive through the road to get to wherever they're going. You know, you say like community that loves downhill skateboarding. Another event that's really good with the community is Gravity Fest.
Gravity Fest was oh my God.
Munnsville loves it. The American Legion is all about having downhill skateboarders and losers coming to the hill, and they let you camp right on the property. You know, they obviously charge the event organizer a certain fee for the usage of the grounds, and then with that comes the locals.
Yes.
Did you remember the last Gravity Fest?
So I went to 11. I did not make it out to 12.
Oh man! But that year, the one that I was able to have a privilege to go to and be staff for with MG Events, the locals would come around with their four-wheelers and they were just tearing ass through the yard and making a bunch of mud, and it was a whole big thing. Yeah, like they think the skaters cause most problems, but sometimes I'm not saying they were causing problems, but they were being pretty loud, you know, being pretty rambunctious like us, you know. So they were well invited by us. We went along with anything they were gonna do, and we were all about it, and no one gave a shit. And that's the beauty about it.
Yeah, and that's kind of like, that is a part of the culture in Port Jervis, is that they are they love a good party. They're not uptight. They'll like that a lot. This time around for this event, while we do it, there is one other person that I didn't mention that I am speaking to, Christian from Wrongboard.
Oh, I've never met him.
Him and I. Oh, he's dope. I love Christian. He's really cool. I had a conversation with him at Dirt Farm this past spring. By the way, Dirt Farm is another one of those events where you have this beautiful synergistic relationship with the community. I mean, it's like there's like a ski chalet thing at the top of the hill, and you can stop whenever you want and like have a hot meal and a beer, like, and there's
the view,
there's foot traffic, there's families that come by of all ages, and they see the event and they're stoked on it, and it like brings everybody together.
Yeah, because it's private property. They have a second entrance to the property that, you know, we don't have to open up the road to them. They have another way to get in.
The road is just closed all day.
Yeah, the skate hill is closed.
Safer.
Closed all day, and there's a secondary way into the vineyard. So, yeah, no, I love it. Like, we need to find more of those kind of places. Well, Woodburger, you know.
Yep.
That I believe it's a state park. I'm not really sure about.
It's a state park, I think. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it's rare that you can get an event happening, you know, at something like that. So, um, we just have to make sure that we don't blow it up. You know,
Yeah.
that's the problem. You know,
Daddy Dave was talking about that last time I skated with him at Witch's Hat, which was, it was like a month ago almost now.
yeah, I remember that session. I got invited to it. I just couldn't go.
He was talking about how like events like they kind of like appear and they last a couple of years and then they disappear, and that's kind of like how it's been for a long time. And part of it is just it's difficult to maintain a good relationship with the community in many cases. That was one of the things that I was talking with Christian about, and Christian and I were knocking around some ideas last time I spoke to him, and he was talking about because he and I both live close to Port Jervis,
Right.
actually doing on the ground more grassroots promotion in the community. That's difficult because a lot of downhill skaters don't just, especially event organizers, they don't necessarily live in close proximity. You have to kind of pick the roads that work for downhill skateboarding.
Right.
But I think that that approach is good. I think that it will matter in the long run, and I think that what am I trying to say? I'm not saying it's never been done before, but I feel like I feel like doing a like kind of an on the ground in person grassroots promotion, it would that's like a good foundation for having that kind of long-term relationship with the community.
Yeah.
So we're gonna start doing that probably in the spring, I would imagine. If the Zoom meeting goes well, once we get everybody on board with like what tasks we need to complete,
Right.
who's going to complete those tasks, what time frames we're looking at, and sanctioning, which is a whole nother. I don't even know how to get into that. So that's going to be a
Well, John said
conversation.
that the timing system is still there in place, and they're still willing to use it. Let's hope that it still works and there's no bugs like there were last time. Sanctioning relies on a timing system. If
Yeah,
there's
and
no
having a
timing
reliable
system,
one.
there's I hate to say it, but a free ride. I don't think we're gonna pull the skaters in with just a free ride. It's got to be some sort of race for points.
Yeah, but I mean that's coming back. That's coming back. A big part of the reason why a lot of the previous sanctioning bodies aren't around anymore is because of the pandemic. Like that wasn't anything that anybody could help. I hear a lot of hate online, slung from keyboards about,
It is very
the different
confusing.
sanctioning body.
I don't know who to look at and what to believe anymore.
I believe that people just do their best, and I believe that I believe that it was a product of a global crisis that nobody foresaw, that no generation in living memory had ever even dealt with. The last time we had a pandemic of that size was, I think, like the Spanish flu in the early 20th century. And so it's like,
I don't know anything about that, so I can't speak on it.
I'm chronically online, so I hear these things. Yeah, I mean, and I think that we're getting past. We're just now getting past that. And new sanctioning bodies have arisen, new leagues, and they seem to be getting better. we have some outside influence now, especially like with World Skate. World Skate, you know, they do other urethane wheel sports besides, so they have experience, and that helps. And World Downhill Skate Championship, they seem to do a really good job as well. So like, yeah, that's a conversation we'll have. And once we get that figured out, we just just promote the hell out of it.
Yeah.
We hype the heck out of it. We get as many people on board as possible.
Well, this is where it starts.
That's what I'm doing. I'm here to promote this race.
Yeah.
You know, and I'm not saying that like this is a spectacularly fast, you know, crazy hill. This hill it's big and it's roomy and it's comfortable. It's like a big couch.
Yeah, and it's convenient. Camping is right there. You know, it's a very short drive up the hill, and you have parking right there. Nice big gravel parking lot that you can park your car in, and then, you know, yeah, it's a great event venue. You have a little bonus hill that you can skate after the event. Then you got all your homies doing campfire stuff and campground stuff. Like, what can you ask for? And right in town, there's all the food that you can imagine.
Oh yeah, Port Jervis has really good food spots. They got this cool little like, they got like kind of an In-N-Out hibachi place. They got the AERA, which is like, you know, more like a old timey kind of sit down, have a steak dinner place. They've got lots of coffee shops. They also have like a bike shop in there. If you forget socks, if you forgot your half shell, you can go down into town.
Yeah.
Less than a 5-minute drive away and buy a new one. Like, you got, you know, I mean, there's even like spots in Matamoros. There's the pump track. When you're done with the event, if your legs aren't already completely destroyed, you can go completely destroy them at the pump track.
Yep.
Like, it's a great place to hang out. You have kind of all of the pieces for like a core East Coast event. The hill is, sorry. The hill is roomy enough and smooth enough for beginners to kind of like get their feet wet.
Yep.
But if you go and try to squeeze speed out of it, it's still technical and strict. It's like it's not like a really fast hill.
Yeah.
Until you get in a draft train, then all of a sudden, you know, then you're in some serious speed.
Yep.
So like, the last time we had a race there was a lot of passing that went on in that second hairpin. That second hairpin was dramatic.
Yeah.
I mean, and
because there's a slight, isn't there like in that straightaway that comes after the first hairpin, isn't there kind of like a slight right then left?
There's a little bit of a kink. So like,
because there's a rock, right?
You come around that first hairpin, and if you hit the line really hard, you last time you couldn't hug the guardrail because it was a hole in the road.
Yeah.
And I'm pretty sure that like,
it was a hole that leaned right into the guardrail.
I'm pretty sure one of the riders hit it and like lost a wheel or something.
We tried to mark it off as best we could with
they had to bail it up. But that's gone now. I mean, that's completely gone.
Yeah.
They filled it in. So, yeah, you hug the guardrail, and then you hug the rock wall, and then you're coming in. But the thing is, the interesting thing about ACME, I think, is that the turns are wide enough that there's multiple lines that work.
Right.
And that is not a feature you see a lot on racetracks, especially nowadays with the bigger, stickier race wheels and how equipment and technique have evolved.
Yeah.
You're seeing a lot of races decided just by the kick.
Right. Yep.
I stole that from another podcast, by the way. I mean, I kind of like knew that, but anyway, yeah. And basically, you're seeing a lot of races where once you get in front, you just control the race. That's almost impossible at Acme because the road's so wide.
Yeah.
There's an ideal line in terms of like the sweepers, like so, but it's a road where drafting and passing will happen a lot, and it did happen a lot at the last race.
Yeah.
And then once you get to the hairpins are big, and there are different lines that work for different reasons. So there's room for strategy.
So
and tactics.
that first hairpin,
Mm-hmm.
that really big one,
Mm-hmm.
you know, is it still kind of flat, or did they?
It's flat.
Okay.
Yes. The innermost section is still the same. It's the same steepness.
Mm-hmm.
That whole area, as far as I can tell, remains unchanged as far as like the topography.
Okay.
The
They
only
didn't like change
difference
it or anything.
is that the those undulations in the pavement beforehand that were taking some people out aren't there anymore.
So
It's just dead flat.
undulations being like a bump.
Waves and bumps in the pavement that would throw you off and send you into speed wobble.
Yeah.
They're gone. So you don't have to air brake.
They're gone.
Every imperfection in that road is gone. Gone completely. Let me even just... I mean, they even did like a little curbing thing on the side of the road to channel water off the road.
Okay.
Like, and channel water, so it channels water that's on the road down the side of the road into the specific drainage ditches.
Is there a hump in the middle of the road?
In certain spots, the road is convex,
Okay.
but
Yeah.
it isn't obnoxious at
Okay.
all. And
So-
there's other parts of the road where the road is dead flat from side to side.
Okay. Do you think they're going to move the finish line now that there's a better road?
I think they should.
You can push it further down the hill.
Yeah, because I think that, well, it's like a lot of, I know that the current meta game is to try and keep the finish line closer to the last turn, so as not to give bigger, heavier riders like
That's
an
true.
advantage. Because like a bigger, heavier rider is just always going to be faster.
Because the finish line is directly after a turn.
Like right now, if we had Acme again, like Tim Dell would just win because he's so fast.
It's so heavy, yeah.
You know, so
because the shutdown area is one of the faster sections of the road,
right,
and it was the sketchiest.
Yeah,
you know that was really the part
crazy.
That made it not skatable.
Mm.
You know, there was a line you could skate it right up to the finish line, but after the finish line, it was just so bad.
So many, and that was like, so. John Fletcher basically told me that getting insurance for the event was really posing a problem because of those potholes.
Right.
After the injuries. So probably the only reason that we'll be able to get the race insured again is because they fixed it, and they really, really fixed it.
Yeah. I mean, I seen pictures. I think you sent them, and I seen your Insta 360 video, which is awesome. And I can't wait to receive the video footage and put it in the podcast.
I haven't done anything with that yet because I procrastinate all the time. But I will get it to you. I think I have the camera in my car, and I'll bring it in, and we'll work on that.
Okay. You brought your computer, right?
Yes.
Okay. SD card full. So one camera filled. That was it. That's good. This one's still going.
Have we gone on for too long? Like, how typically long is a podcast?
So, I mean, we're at an hour, 28 minutes. I think I talked to Jeff the last one for like 2 hours.
Well, I don't want to lose the interest of the audience. So, I think we'll just sum it up. Like, I'm not like trying to cut this off or anything either, but I do have like a 3.5 hour drive home.
No, it's totally fine.
So, but I do want to say that like the finish line, right? And the start line and, you know, like other things, I think the thing to do in terms of the start line and the finish line would be to just contact people who are in the racing scene, especially people who have experience with the sanctioning bodies already, and just have them look at it. Maybe not in person necessarily, but just get their feedback on it, because getting the feedback of the people who are going to be risking injury, I think, in order to compete is like really important. I don't want I don't want anybody to feel like left out. Another thing we got to focus on is like diversity, for sure.
Right.
Like
Inclusivity. Yeah.
there was a little bit
Inclusivity.
there was a little bit of drama around the last ACME.
There was.
And I hope that that's another reason I want to have a large, diverse team.
Right.
Because that is something that has to be made right. Again. And so, like, yeah, getting rider feedback and taking it seriously is definitely like
right. The women's division was gone, was non-existent in the last one, which was disappointing. So
that I really don't like. Oh my god, if that happened, this would be a nightmare.
Right.
So I'm really, that's not going to happen. We're going to have a women's division for sure. I'd like to see other disciplines show up. I'd like to see a big street luge division. I'd like to see rollerbladers show up.
We can talk to Gabe, get his peoples. You know what I'm talking about. Gabe Holm. He is the owner of Thoreau Skate Shop in Boston.
Cool. Yeah. All right.
He was at Woodbooger. Yeah. Cool dude. Yeah. He has a mustache.
Okay, that sounds familiar.
Yeah.
Does he ride
inline skates? Like,
no way. Oh, that was him?
Yeah.
Wow, that's insane. Downhill skating is already crazy enough. Downhill inline is right out.
He was keeping up with the fast boys too. Like, he would drop with the first
group. Those guys are actually stone cold fuck nuts.
Yeah.
That's like downhill inline.
He came to Woodbooger too. He skated Woodbooger with Jordan.
Oh, Woodbooger scared the hell out of me. I was so
I can't wait to go back. I want to go back and descend it harder.
I'd love to. So like in the like several months, I had a kid a couple of years
congratulations.
Ago. Thank you. And so like I had been like not skating nearly as much as I wanted to. And going to Woodbooger after like the last time I skated before Woodbooger, it was like I think I had a sesh once, like at our spot Caramel.
Yeah.
And then before that it was Dirt Farm. And in between, no exercise, drinking way too much, eating McDonald's like 2 meals a day, and just sitting in front of my computer for work and for recreation, not skating. And I was so out of shape and I was so like busted. And when I went down Woodbooger on my race board, I was like, I didn't feel safe. I didn't feel comfortable. I felt like I was a danger to everybody around me. So I had to throw free ride wheels. I got my free ride set up and I put like, Otang stimmies on there, which are like one of the easiest but grippy wheels. I just hung back big time, and I felt like embarrassed to be myself at that moment, because I was like, man, I'm so out of shape that I'm like not safe to skate around anymore. And then since Woodbooger, I've been exercising every day. I've been eating right, and I have been like really focusing on my health, cutting down on my alcohol consumption, and yeah, it's definitely helped a lot. I feel 1,000 times better.
Well, good.
Yeah. everybody should have some kind of physical activity routine.
Yeah.
Especially, I mean, I don't know any downhill skaters that like don't have a physical activity routine that's at least, if not part of their regular life, like. But I guess it's just worth mentioning. Get out and exercise if you can.
Yeah, I don't have to go to the gym because my job keeps me fit. I work at Jiminy, and right now it's off season, so you have to go do grounds work, which involves digging holes. I don't know if you see my Instagram. I was like literally like head deep in a hole the other day.
Yeah.
We were building a trail map.
Neat.
Yeah. So like the trail map that was there at the top of the mountain, it was old and it was just like in the way. So we pushed it back more towards the tree line and opened up that whole area at the top of the mountain or the top of the chairlift. So like it was really hard because you had all that area that was there not being used, and you'd come off the chairlift and you'd see all the blue coats, the instructors, just gathered there, just taking up all the room. And then sometimes they weren't even in their blue coat. You'd come off the top of the chair. You can name every single one of them persons that was up there because you knew every single one of them, and they were just gathered right there in the way. So that's what we did. We tried to move the trail map back, which we did. We created a beautiful trail map, nice 6x6 posts, and nice new trail map. I'll put a picture of it up. But yeah, that's how I stay physical and stay busy, and it's a lot of heavy lifting and hard work. The weed whacker gets heavy after 4 hours of using it. Your hands go numb. It's hard work, but yeah, I agree. Physical activity, some sort of outside time. I feel bad for Robin. I don't know how he does it in front of that computer every day.
He goes to the gym first thing in the morning, every morning.
Yeah, so that's the outlet. I don't like going to the gym. That's the problem. If I didn't have work, I still wouldn't go to the gym because I hate it. I hate being on display. I don't like eating in front of people. So
Word.
Yeah, I don't mind skating in front of people, which is weird, but working out, being there,
I don't like yo-yoing in front of people.
That's weird for a yo-yo champion.
Yeah, yeah, it is. I hate yo-yoing in front of people.
Well, let's end the podcast on some yo-yo. Let's do some yo-yo tricks for me here for the camera.
Sure, I guess. We'll have to make some room.
Yeah, we'll make some room. Chairs out of the way here.
I guess I'll take my headphones off.
Yeah. I could just pick this up and show us your yo-yo skills. Got the Muirskate beer koozie, and I got.
Bring them back, please. I want
the Lake Life is Better thing. This keeps my
right
beer
now,
nice and cool.
I am using a new. So like, I do two-handed looping. That is my division. There are 5 divisions of yo-yoing. You got one-handed styles, two-handed styles, and aerial styles.
I'm gonna go over here.
I'm doing it two-handed.
Way out of the way.
I'm not gonna be able to do a heck of a lot in this little corner, but I'm using a newer looper called a C3 seeker.
Show that one. Show that camera. There you go.
Like yo-yo company based out of Hong Kong, and this is what I do. This is the kind of tricks I do. So it uses like a traditional yo-yo, like just a traditional. It's not like a butterfly one. It's not like the metal ones that sleep forever with the ball bearings. Mm-hmm. It's a traditional plastic yo-yo essentially, but with a little bit more design in it than like a Walmart.
Where's the other one?
Ball bearing.
I know you have 2 of them. There you go.
I do these reciprocating orbital tricks, which are colloquially referred to as looping tricks. I don't know if they can hear me at all.
Yeah, we can hear you a little bit. Yeah, you're fine.
So yeah, just two-handed inside loops. I can't yo-yo on camera either.
The camera pressure.
Yeah, camera pressure is bad. Inside loop.
He's crossing the streams.
I don't know. Should I yo-yo at a camera? Should I go like that?
Well, that can go on Instagram.
You know.
Man, you were doing it so good when we weren't.
What do you mean I was doing it so good? I'm doing it good right now.
Oh yeah. Okay, that was pretty cool.
It's a little weird because ordinarily I have like more room to do stuff.
Yeah, we are in a very tight little situation here. I mean, he's
So
got
the
probably
strings get
3 rooms.
tense after a while, they like wind up on each other. I'm sure if you've ever played with the yo-yo, you know what I'm talking about. Like the string gets tight, you gotta like let it loosen up. I do a little sidewinder thing to get it to move faster.
Yeah, he has like 2 feet of room right here.
You know.
Wow.
The cool tricks are like doing wraps and tanglers. Let me try to tangle. Potentially. Here we go. Like that.
Whoa.
Oh,
That was cool.
almost. Yeah, you get the idea. You know. Just doing yo-yo tricks.
I feel like every skater has like a secret skill.
Oh, you know what I should talk about real quick before the podcast ends? Check this out. The downhill skateboarding yo-yo connection. Right? Now, it's a stupid little story no one's going to care about. But basically, I was at the World Yo-Yo
Hold on.
Contest.
Keep telling your story and I'll be right back.
I was at the World Yo-Yo Contest, and I was talking to this guy named Bill Dubois Blanc, and he's like an old head yo-yoer. One of the original competitive yo-yoers. He was like a championship in the 80s and 90s. And I was talking to him about looping and whatnot. And he like told me, I was like telling him about downhill skateboarding because the communities are similar. You know, there's like it's like a really niche thing that takes a lot of skill and practice to get in and to stay in. And the community's like really dedicated and really like loving of its people for the most part. And I was telling him like, yeah, I skate down hills, like we race and stuff, and then he pipes up and Bill looks at me, he's like, oh, yeah, like, you mean Cliff Coleman, right? And I'm like, what? And he's like, yeah, Cliff, I know him. He's like a championship yo-yoer. So I don't know. He said this. I guess Cliff Coleman is also a yo-yoer, the guy that basically like helped develop a really core piece of mechanical skill that makes downhill skateboarding even possible. This is like an avid yo-yoer. So yeah, I was just surprised to find that out. Like, Cliff Coleman. There's the downhill skateboarding yo-yoing connection. Like there's they're like they seem to attract a similar ilk of people. Very, 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 very interesting. And you came back just in time for my story to be over. So you'll just have to watch it.
I apologize.
You might be surprised.
Yeah.
It's a twist ending. Not really.
Cool.
Like a yo-yo string. Anyway, so I guess I don't really have anything else to say except like I'm super, super hyped to do this event with you guys. I think that between all of us, it's going to be a banger. And 2025 is just going to be hopefully it's going to be like really lit.
Yeah.
You know?
I'm excited for it.
Barring some cataclysm.
I hope that we get to go to all the same events that we got to go to this year, plus some.
Yeah.
All right. With that being said, thanks for watching, everybody. And cheers.
Mm.
Yeah. And that was the end of my beer anyway.
Perfect time.
Perfect timing. All right. Peace, guys. Stay positive. Keep riding your skateboards and snowboards. And stay tuned for the next episode. We out.
Cool. I hope that